Come on and shine, shine, shine. Las Vegas, shine your light on me.
Welcome to Las Vegas Tonight. Join award-winning host Dale Davidson as he interviews the most remarkable people you'll find in the entertainment capital of the world. You'll meet entertainers, sports figures, newsmakers, community and business leaders, and people just like you with stories that'll touch your heart. Now, here's Dale Davidson. A potential audience of more than 50 million people is reached every week by Las Vegas Tonight. To keep the important message of Christ's love on the air, we need your prayers and financial blessings. Please send your tax-deductible gift to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. For a donation of $25 or more, we'll send you a copy of Dale Davidson's new book, Las Vegas Tonight, From Sin City to Vegas Saints. You'll love these inspiring stories of Las Vegas Christians who are changing the world. Or donate to the ministry, or order Dale's book by going to vegassaints.org. That's vegassaints.org. Or call us today at 702-480-3989. That's 480-3989. God bless you.
Welcome to Las Vegas Tonight. I'm your host, Dale Davidson. Thank you for joining us this week. Each show we try to bring you fascinating guests. We've done it again. We have Cheryl Hancock, who is an Israeli journalist. She's an American doing great work in Israel. And we're going to talk about her work and her ministry and her background and what's really going on the ground in Israel. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's nice to be here. Thank you.
So appreciate it, Cheryl. Tell us a little bit about you. You're an American. You grew up where?
My father was in the Army, so I moved around every 3 years.
You grew up everywhere.
Yeah, Germany, Alaska, Georgia, Washington, California. Mainly, that's where I left from when I went to Israel 15 years ago.
Wow. Maybe that made you a little bit comfortable with the whole idea of going to Israel and living there? Was the moving around as a kid?
Yeah, traveling never bothered me. I like it. It's adventurous. I am adventurous. So going to Israel was a little bit different, though. The language barrier. I had to learn a little bit of Hebrew before I went there. And then, of course, I'm speaking a little bit of Hebrew over there. You have to speak the language. So it's quite different. Culture shock, the culture is different. When I lived moving around every 3 years, of course, we would move from base to base where there were Americans, but not here. This is like I am immersed in the communities over there.
That's a wonderful thing, and we'll find out why as we go on. Tell me about your childhood. Did you grow up in a Christian household?
No, I didn't, and we never went to church, that type of thing. I sought the Lord. I remember that. I asked if I could go to church. I ended up in some interesting churches because of that. But no, I didn't find the Lord until I was 31 years old. I became a drug addict. 13 years old, we lived in Germany. There's no drinking age over there. I would go out and party with all the other friends I had, and we all hung out together, the Americans, from 13 years old to 19 years old. So we would go out drinking and partying, and that's where I got involved in drugs. I became a heroin addict for 2 years, living in Washington State. So I've done just a lot of different types of drugs. I got hepatitis C because of the heroin. I have to live with that, and hopefully soon take some medicine for that. But 31 years old, I decided this is not the way to go. And I was hurting people because I was dealing drugs at the time. And I was ruining lives. And so I dropped to my knees about 3 o'clock in the morning in my kitchen and raised up my hands and I said, if you're real, then help me. Didn't know who I was talking to, hoping there was a God. And the next day I went into a 28-day in-house drug program. I took a Bible somebody gave me and I started reading it. And within those 28 days, I found that God is, Jesus is God. And that I found the scripture that said, I will take you from the miry clay and set your feet on the rock. And that's exactly how I felt that night. I got on my knees. I felt like I was in quicksand up to here. And I put up the white flag, help, giving in. And the Lord really reached down and pulled me out. And when I found out that he died for me, I said, all I want to do is live for you, Lord. And so I wanted to serve him the rest of my life, and that's what I'm doing.
Oh, that's wonderful. What were you doing you were in Los Angeles most recently before you left to go to Israel?
Actually in the Pismo Beach area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that has been my home base. Before I moved to Israel, I worked at a nuclear power plant there as an armed security officer.
Oh, okay.
Had a great job living on the beach, had ministry. I organized March for Jesus and other ministries. And I thought, oh, I'll go to Israel. Once in a lifetime trip to see it. And my heart stayed.
Wow.
And so I thought I'd go back one more time to get my heart. I went back and my heart stayed there. So I realized that I was being called to Israel. And I talked to my pastor and said, when I retire, I would like to go to Israel and be a missionary. I think that's what I'm supposed to do. And but I didn't think that I would be going within 4 months, because I was offered a position with Christian Friends of Israel. So instead, I went and helped this organization in Jerusalem by organizing their Shavuot conference, which is Feast of Pentecost conference.
Oh, okay. Sure.
And we had 5,000 people from around the world come to that. But the only snag was that I would have to leave my job within 4 months, and that means give up everything. You know, my retirement. I was working for PG&E.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it was a great
job. Yeah.
But when I ran away from home when I was 15 years old, I left with this boy that I thought I was in love with. And I left my education, my family, everything behind. And when I was praying about, is this something that I'm supposed to do for the Lord? It was like the Lord dropped in my heart, well, you did it for him, what about me? How much do I really love the Lord? I was challenged. So I thought, okay, I'm going to trust the Lord and step out. And you know what? He's never let me down. The past 15 years, he's been faithful. He's been right with me. My relationship with him is closer than it's ever been because I need him.
Wow, that's a wonderful testimony. Tell me about when you first arrived in Israel. Were you surprised at what you saw? Was it what you expected to see and hear? What were the surprises, if any?
Well, I wasn't wanted in Israel. People were not nice to me, and I thought, why would I want to be here? I really was ready to pack up. You know, within the first 3 months, it was really rough. They closed the door on the bus. You know, you'd run after the bus and try to jump on like the Israelis do, and they would shut the door right in my face. And I tried to order a pizza one time, and I remember the guy just walking away when I started speaking English. So I thought, why do I want to help these people? And so I opened up the Bible, and that verse that said, comfort my people, comfort Jerusalem, came up. I was in tears. The tears were hitting the Bible. I was ready to go, and the Lord really challenged me by putting in my heart, who are you here to serve? Was it the people or was it the Lord? And when I realized I'm there to serve the Lord, and I'm going to stay where the Lord put me, then I did. I unpacked.
Be his hands and feet.
Yes, I stayed right there.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I did now.
Now, was it the Orthodox Jews that were turning their back on you?
No, it was just people in general, Jewish people in general. I think they know when somebody's there, especially when they're new and green. They kind of know it, you know. Why? What do you want to do here? You know, what are you trying to do? And one time I told a lady on the bus that I was a Christian. She screamed. She said, get away from me. Yeah. And so then I realized, wait a minute, what is this, you know? She was thinking, when you say Christian, that could be anything. It could be a crusader. They're thinking crusades. They're thinking the Nazis. They're thinking all kinds of things. So what you say in Israel, not that I'm a Christian, you say I'm a believer. And then they say, well, what is that? And then you could tell them what you believe in. And I can tell them about my relationship with the Lord. It's a whole different approach. I've learned so much being in Israel.
I'll bet you have, yeah. And witnessing is really part of your life there. We're going to take a brief break, Cheryl, and then come back and talk about how you combine your life as a Christian with your career as a journalist. We'll be back with Cheryl Hancock and much more on Las Vegas Tonight, right after these messages.
Drawn by the lights, glamour, and opportunities in Sin City, they come from all over the world, searching for their chance to be a pretty woman, a success, or maybe just to have a better life. Be somebody. What happened after they got here is literally changing the world. From the story of Tommy Scott, a former gang enforcer turned Christian evangelist, to the Hookers for Jesus Outreach Ministry, to the heart-wrenching story of Arturo Martinez and his heroic act of forgiving the man who assaulted and murdered his wife and 10-year-old daughter. Las Vegas Tonight presents an extraordinary depiction of Las Vegas as a city of transformation, from Sin City to Vegas Saints. Las Vegas Tonight, from Sin City to Vegas Saints, a collection of true stories of transformation, people whose lives were transformed, and people who are now transforming the world.
Welcome back to Las Vegas Tonight. We're very pleased to have with us Cheryl Hancock, who is a correspondent in Israel, and we're going to get into what's going on and hear the truth about what's happening on the West Bank and in Gaza from Cheryl in a minute. Tell us a little bit personally about what it's like to be a Middle East correspondent. I think a lot of people would like to know, what do you face day to day representing the Western press?
Well, it's interesting because every day is different, which is there's a lot of variety going on. I've been attacked quite a bit just because American Christian, I do Christian media, most people know that. And so one time I was attacked by ultra-Orthodox Jews who put, this is a strange attack, but they put a goat's head in my driveway. They cut off the head, put it in a bag, and when I came home I rolled over the horns. And of course, being a journalist, I had to take my camera and flashlight to see what it was. So got a picture of it. And what they were trying to do is Kabbalah. They were putting a curse on me. They knew I was a Christian, so they assumed I was doing missionary work. So what I asked my Jewish friends, what does this mean really? Because I've been in this community 8 years, and they said that the next time it could be a firebomb. It was dangerous. And it's been known that they have blown up different situated like houses and different a chess club one time. So they don't want people changing the minds of the Jewish people. They figure if you take a Jew and you turn him into a Christian, he's no longer a Jew. So they can't get over that you can be a Jew but also believe in the Lord Yeshua.
In Jesus, yeah.
In Jesus,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So what they say is we're worse than the Nazis. I actually interviewed one of them one time. They said, yeah, the Christians are worse than the Nazis because they're wiping out our Jewish population. Wow. They're stealing the souls of our people.
Wow.
So they're so adamant, just like Paul, Saul of Tarsus. They had to go in and they have to stop it because they love God. They do it all by legalism. They follow their rabbis and they do all the laws, and they will be great Christians when they come into the kingdom. But right now they're like Saul of Tarsus.
Yeah, and are you seeing some convert to Christianity?
Yeah, I have. I have seen some, and the hearts, well, their eyes are open, some of them. And what we do is we talk about their Old Testament, the First Testament, it's more accurate, but we talk about the prophecies that are going on right now that are being fulfilled. And then we talk about the Messiah. And of course, we believe the Messiah is going to return. They believe the Messiah is going to come for the first time. So my friends and I, we sit across the table, we get done with all the prophecies, and we're all on the same page. And I feel like I'm talking to a Christian brother or sister in the Lord. And then we look, because the Messiah comes, and we look at each other, and we smile because he knows that I would say he's coming back. And then so my friend says, well, we'll just have to wait and see. I said, okay, we'll wait and see.
What do they say when you talk about Isaiah 53, for example, which pretty much point by point describes the passion?
There is a reason why all of that is, they change it. Like they say, okay, there's a different Bethlehem. It's up by Nazareth, and they have a reason and excuse for every one of the verses there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. Because I've tried so many different things to explain what I believe and why. And mainly what I do is give people my testimony, because the Lord changed me so radically. He saved my life, and I let people know. And He's continually working in my life. Like when the goat's head was there, I had a rock that a Palestinian threw at me. I was going 55, 60 miles an hour through the West Bank. He had a rock the size of a basketball, and he threw it at my car trying to get it through my windshield. But he hit my headlight instead. If he would have got through my windshield, I would have died, because I would have had an accident, and who knows what would have happened.
Sure.
But these things happen to me, and I tell people, I had a hand grenade in my backyard. They pulled the pin and threw it at a big gas tank that feeds our stoves. If it would have went off, we all would have been dead in that area. But it didn't go off, so the bomb squad came out and they blew it up. I had a pipe bomb in my carport. It went off, but no one got hurt. So they started seeing the hand of the Lord in my life. And they go, wait a minute, this can't be, you're not Jewish. And so we get into those talks where they see the Lord working in my life, so I give testimony. I don't try to argue scripture with them, because they have their belief. They have become friends of mine 15 years. I love those people. I do.
They know that, and they know you're sticking around.
Yeah.
Which is, she's not going to be scared off.
It takes them a while to trust you, but when they trust you, they'll trust more of what you're saying. I went to a ceremony for a 3-year-old boy where that's when they get their hair cut the first time, and they actually gave me the scissors to cut a piece of the hair, just like the rest of the family.
What an honor.
It showed that I was accepted in the family, even as a Christian. And just last year, 2012, I went to his bar mitzvah.
Oh, that's great.
So I've been there a long time. They trust me, and it's really nice to have these as friends.
Let's talk about the Arabs. Let's talk about the Israeli Arabs. You know, those who have lived in Israel were displaced. Those who were displaced and known as Palestinians. Tell me about those people and how they've reacted to you.
Well, it's really interesting because I didn't think I was going to Israel to work with Arab people. I just thought I was going to be working with Jewish people and helping the Jews. But that's what came across my path, were Arabs.
Really?
And the Lord, God so loved the world, you know, that he gave his own son. And so I need to work with whoever he puts in front of my path. A lot of the guys that came in from my path are collaborators to Israel.
Tell me about that.
These are usually Palestinians, Muslim background, of course, and they have found out about an attack on Israel, so they'll take that information and give it to somebody in Israel, authority like IDF, Israel Defense Force, or somebody, and get that attack stopped. And because they saved Jewish women and children, maybe it was a bus bombing and they gave that information. They saved these people, then they become a traitor to the Palestinian people. They become a traitor to Hamas or Fatah, or they become a traitor to Islam because they saved a Jew. Because a Jew is the enemy of the Muslim world. And not just the Muslim world, the Palestinians, all of it. So these people are usually killed. And the one guy, I remember he was working in our moshav, and his father came on a donkey one time and brought pictures, and he was crying. And what they did is they took the legs of this man, tied him to the bumper of a car, and drug him around Bethlehem until he died. They called him a collaborator, and he wasn't a collaborator. He was building a house, working construction. So even if they give you the label as a collaborator,
that's all it takes.
Yeah, I've worked with guys, all of them, every one of them have been tortured. Some of them have been in prison. I'd say over half of them have been in prison. And one time the IDF went in and broke down the walls of the prison. And they were looking for Arafat at this point. And they broke down the walls, and these prisoners got free. And one guy kissed a tank, the IDF tank. He was so grateful that he got out of the Palestinian prison. And he ran into Israel, and they gave him permission to stay in Israel. So they have permission to be in Israel, but they don't have permission to work and that type of thing.
Oh, that's hard.
These are the ones I'm running across. They are coming to the Lord like crazy. The reason is because they are so tired of the violence. They're tired. One man who worked with Islamic Jihad told me, I don't want to be a Muslim anymore because my religion is perverted and violent. And I asked him, why does he say that? He said, Muhammad, his leader, who started Islam, he's the one that married an 8-year-old girl, or a 6-year-old girl. And at 8 years old, he went into her. He said, if anybody did that to my daughter, I would kill him. Wow. He said, that's perversion. And then all they talk about in the mosque, especially on Fridays, that's when the big prayer is, all they talk about is violence, taking the women and raping them and taking over their land. He said, I don't want to be any part of that anymore. Will you baptize me?
Where's the peace there?
Yeah, these people, they want a loving God, and that's what it is. They hear about a God of love, and they want him. I've got to baptize a lot of people in the Jordan River. And you know what? What a
thrill that must be.
Oh, it's great. And when they become believers or Christians, they don't want to attack Israel anymore. They don't want to hurt people. So it helps Israel, too. Yeah,
that's wonderful. We need to take another brief break, and we're going to be back with Cheryl Hancock talking about her life as a journalist in Israel. We'll be back with more right after this. Hello, I'm Dale Davidson. I hope you're enjoying Las Vegas tonight. The guests we've had on the program are wonderful examples of Christians who take seriously Christ's command to love one another. In addition to the hundreds of television stations across the United States now carrying our show, we have been presented with the outstanding opportunity to bring these inspiring stories to people around the world. An international satellite network in the Russian and Ukrainian languages has asked us to provide them with episodes to be broadcast to millions. To make a gift to support this very special effort, please send your check or money order to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. To use your credit or debit card, call 702-480-3989. Thank you, and God bless you. And welcome back to Las Vegas Tonight. I'm your host, Dale Davidson. We're having a fascinating conversation with Cheryl Hancock, who is normally in Israel, but luckily she stopped by here in Las Vegas on her way back to that beautiful country. When are you actually heading back?
October 11th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've got a few commitments speaking over here in the United States.
Yeah, tell us about your speaking. You're talking to churches, is that right?
Churches, television, radio,
Right.
Whoever wants to hear the truth about what's really going on the ground,
Yeah.
that's where I go. And as long as I have the time and I can get over there. So usually I do a 3-month speaking tour.
Oh, you do?
I stay in Israel 9 months, I come back and I do 3 months, or I do it in England, Scotland, Canada, different countries also. Anyone who's interested in the truth, because we're not getting the truth over here.
Let's talk about that. What are we missing watching the evening news in America as far as what's really going on the ground in Israel?
Well, first of all, we're not getting much of it. We're getting pieces. And when you don't tell the whole story, then you're not getting the truth. So if you break it off in one segment, then you're taking it out of context.
Oh, okay.
We're not seeing what's going on the ground. Even some of the people that are talking, some of the anchors, they're talking and they are saying what's going on, but it's not right. What they're saying is not right. And some of them have bought into the bias. And when you're in a Palestinian area, I work with a lot of Palestinians, they tell you their stories, the way they see it and the way they've been taught it. Mm-hmm. And then you go to the west part, which would be in Israel proper, and you see a whole different thing going on. They are taught in school, the Muslims are taught in school, that they have a different narrative, that the Jews are not supposed to be in the land. They were not here 3,000 years ago, or in Israel 3,000 years ago. There was no temple, there was no Holocaust. This is what they're beginning to teach the kids in school. Then they have summer camps, and they're teaching the kids that they need to be martyrs, and that's the highest calling, to be a martyr, at least a jihad warrior, work with Hamas or Fatah, and they need to fight against these people that took over their land because they were there first. Now, if you buy into that narrative, then you're going to hear it through people that are doing the news. And it's really sad that that's going on. But most of it is they're not getting the whole story out. They don't know the whole story. Like the human shield thing, we've all heard about that Hamas is using the human shield.
Right.
Well, they are. And I talk to the people there, and they say, if we don't do what they say, then after the war, what's going to happen to us? If we're the ones that don't go stand on our roofs and show our chest, bare our chest and say, come on and hit me to Israel, they'll know it. And they have one great neighborhood watch over there. They really know what each other are doing, because I lived in a community, and it was in East Jerusalem. In this community, they were watching everything that I did.
Really?
And I was attacked all the time. When I drove down my road, I never knew what was going to happen. And I had dirt thrown at me, rocks thrown at me, and all these different things happened. But one of the reasons was because I was a woman, American woman, living by myself. Women don't live by themselves in that community. In Islam, you don't live by yourself. You stay with your parents until you get married. And if you don't get married, you live at home. Mm-hmm. That's just the way it is. So I was a bad example over there. So they didn't like that. So that's one of the reasons why they attacked me all the time. I lived there for a year and then got out of it. But the situation...
You had to fear for your life.
Well, there was one time when they locked me in. They blocked me in. My car, I couldn't get out for 2 days. And I called everyone that I knew asking for prayer, every pastor I knew in America. I was stuck. I didn't know when this would end, when they would move things, because they were trying to intimidate me, of course, and they were showing that they had control. They showed me they didn't want me there. Mm-hmm. And so I tried to be friends, make friends with them. I gave one lady, a neighbor, flowers. I could see the hatred permeating from their eyes for me. Mm-hmm. And I believe it's because I'm American and they knew I was a Christian. And so when I saw this hatred, I decided to give her flowers. I handed them to her, and she threw them right back at me.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
They would not open the door and be friendly at all. They didn't want me there. Hamas cells were all around me. So Hamas is not only in the Gaza Strip, they're in Israel. They're in East Jerusalem. They're in the West Bank areas. They're all over.
Tell me the difference. Let's talk about the PLO and Hamas and even ISIS, as far as a terror group is concerned in the Middle East. What are the differences and what are the similarities?
Well, Hamas and the PLO have what they are supposed to be doing now is destroying Israel. Mm-hmm. First, Hamas charter, and the reason that they became Hamas in the 1980s is to destroy Israel, to get rid of Israel, because as I told you, in the schools, this is what they would learn, that the Jews do not belong there, and they came and took over their land. So Hamas, if they didn't have the charter to destroy Israel, then they wouldn't exist. You don't need a Hamas, okay? And with the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, that's to liberate Palestine. There is no place as such as Palestine right now. It's called Israel. In 1948, it became Israel. So these people want to get rid of the Jews.
That's the one thing they have in common.
That's the one thing they have in common.
Yeah.
ISIS also, because ISIS is a Muslim group. They are very, very strict Sharia law. As a matter of fact, it's so strict that people don't agree with it, that Muslims don't agree with it. Hamas is strict Sharia law. Even in the Gaza Strip,
really?
Yeah, they hold the people under Sharia law. It's horrible what they're doing, but not as strict as ISIS. So here, Hamas and PLO are both against Israel and want to wipe out Israel. That's the reason for living. That's the reason they have those organizations. But ISIS, Islamic State, they want to make a caliphate, a land ruled by Islam under Sharia law. And they're starting with the Middle East. They used to be ISIS, which is Islamic State for Iraq and Syria. Now they're calling themselves IS, which means just Islamic State. They want to take over more than Iraq and Syria. They want to take over Jordan. They've already come through one of the checkpoints, took it over, and Jordan asked Israel, will you please be our Air Force? We don't have much of an Air Force, we have a good ground force, and Israel's agreed to help Jordan, because if ISIS comes in through Jordan, all they have to do is walk right into Israel.
Wow.
And they have said that they want to take Jerusalem. If they take Jerusalem and the Temple Mount especially, then they have a prize for the whole Muslim world, because all of the Muslim world doesn't want Israel to exist. All of the Muslim world would love to see them have that, the Islamic State having Jerusalem and the Temple Mount. So they figure that's a good way to get people on their side.
And that could set off a much wider war.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. We need to take another brief break, and we'll be back some more with Cheryl Hancock, and we're going to talk about the breaking news coming out of Israel, the absolute latest. We'll be back with more in Las Vegas Tonight, right after this.
A potential audience of more than 50 million people is reached every week by Las Vegas Tonight. To keep the important message of Christ's love on the air, we need your prayers and financial blessings. Please send your tax-deductible gift to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. For a donation of $25 or more, we'll send you a copy of Dale Davidson's new book, Las Vegas Tonight, From Sin City to Vegas Saints. You'll love these inspiring stories of Las Vegas Christians who are changing the world. Or donate to the ministry, or order Dale's book by going to vegassaints.org. That's vegassaints.org. Or call us today at 702-480-3989. That's 480-3989. God bless you.
Welcome back to Las Vegas Tonight. We're pleased to have Cheryl Hancock with us. Cheryl does, I guess, freelance work is the right way to put it, because you report for several outlets. Tell us about the outlets for a minute.
That's true. Yeah, I started with one, and then, of course, a lot of people want the truth, what's going there. So yeah. I started with Bible Voice Broadcasting, and that's out of Toronto, Canada. I do weekly radio programs for them, so I interview people all over Israel, and it's a great way to get in the door and snoop and learn what's going on.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's
how I've learned so much. Yeah.
You edit together a package, a story package, and send it that way?
Actually, as I interview them, I put it through the internet, I edit it, and then send it straight to the station.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, so those go on every week, and then I do monthly programs for Radio Liberty Radio, and what they do is they're getting the truth out about many different things, and I'm their Middle East correspondent. So I'm the Middle East correspondent for 2 different radio stations.
Oh, okay.
And we do monthly programs, and this is for all of America. People can call in and ask questions about Israel. And it's a live program.
Oh.
So sometimes I'm doing it at 7 a.m. in the morning, trying to wake up. Yeah.
What kind of questions do Americans and Westerners in general ask you on that show?
Well, a lot of people want to know what is really going on the ground, because they're not getting the news. They don't understand what's happening.
Yeah.
And we talk about whatever is currently going on.
Yeah. Tell us that now. I promised that before we took the break. What exactly is going on in Israel? What's going on in Gaza? What's the truth?
Yeah, well, as you know, Gaza has been a problem ever since 2005. Well, it's been a problem before that.
Sure.
But 2005, they said, if you get rid of the people, the Jewish people that are in Gaza Strip, then we'll give you peace. So it was land for peace. And Israel's done that. They gave Jericho to the Palestinian people. They gave Bethlehem to the Palestinian people. And now they gave Gaza to the Palestinian people. So they took out thousands of Jews, displaced them, and they figured, well, they would, work these greenhouses and all these things that the people had. They lived there for many years in nice houses. The Palestinians destroyed all that stuff. Hamas destroyed it. And they put their rocket launchers closer to the border, and so that they can fire further into Israel. So there was no peace after they gave up the land, and ever since there's been problems. I was there in 2009, 2012. Those were major problems, wars going on with Gaza. I had to sleep in my bomb shelter in November 2012. The siren went off. Everywhere I went, I had to run for the bomb shelter. It's a horrible way to live. It's terror. And that's what they want to do, terrorism. It's frightening. And these kids have grown up with it, through the years in Southern California, or Southern Israel. So Hamas, as I said before, their charter is destroy Israel. So they're not going to give Israel peace. That's not going to happen. So they built tunnels underneath, and this has been out in the news, nice sophisticated tunnels so that they could come into Israel at different points and pop up in different moshavim and different kibbutzim, country communities where the Jews live, and attack them. And Israel found those, of course. But you know what wasn't found is any bomb shelters for the people. They don't build bomb shelters for their people.
For their own people.
Right. So Hamas is using the people there as shields so that they can go to a school and fire out it, because if Israel fires at that school and if there happens to be one kid there, it's going to make Israel look bad, and they know it. So it's not an easy war for Israel to have right now. Right now there's supposed to be a ceasefire going on. Hamas has broken every ceasefire, 9 ceasefires, and Hamas has broken every one. Israel is holding out and waiting to see what happens for this 72-hour ceasefire. Even if afterwards they decide to have a ceasefire, what Hamas does, they use that time to build up, to get more weapons. They're making weapons at the university in Gaza. They're making them there. So Israel has to take out all those places so this doesn't happen again. The people are tired of living in fear and running to bomb shelters at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning with their kids.
I'm sure that's the case. Do you think there is any hope in dealing with the PLO as opposed to Hamas?
They want to work with the PLO. They figure it's going to help. They're a better group to work with. I don't know how Hamas is going to take it, because Hamas won the elections in 2006, I believe it was. The Palestinian people voted for Hamas because the PLO the Palestinian Authority is very corrupt, and they take the money coming from the West, they put it in their pockets, they give it to their families. It doesn't trickle down to the people. They don't build factories and work for their people, houses for their people. And so the people said, okay, we're going to vote for Hamas, because at least they built some hospitals. There's a humanitarian wing of Hamas that takes care of the people. So they figured if they had Hamas in power, everything would be okay and the money would get down to people.
Didn't happen.
No,
didn't happen.
It's not happening.
Sorry to say we have to take another real brief break. We'll be back with Cheryl in just a minute.
Drawn by the lights, glamour, and opportunities in Sin City, they come from all over the world, searching for their chance to be a pretty woman, a success, or maybe just to have a better life. Be somebody. What happened after they got here is literally changing the world. From the story of Tommy Scott, a former gang enforcer turned Christian evangelist, to the Hookers for Jesus Outreach Ministry, to the heart-wrenching story of Arturo Martinez and his heroic act of forgiving the man who assaulted and murdered his wife and 10-year-old daughter. Las Vegas Tonight presents an extraordinary depiction of Las Vegas as a city of transformation, from Sin City to Vegas Saints. Las Vegas Tonight, from Sin City to Vegas Saints, a collection of true stories of transformation, people whose lives were transformed, and people who are now transforming the world.
And we're talking with Cheryl Hancock, who is a journalist in the Middle East. She lives in Israel. She's a Christian, and it's been a fascinating interview. In this segment, I'd really like to continue talking about the Palestinians and the Israelis. although I guess one isn't necessarily not the other, because there are Israeli Palestinians, right?
Well, there's Israeli Arabs, 1.6 million of them.
Wow.
Yeah. And you know what? They love living under the Israeli government.
There's more freedom.
Oh, much more freedom. They have social medicine. They have freedom of everything. Freedom of speech is the big thing. They are afraid to say anything against the Palestinian Authority or Hamas, because if they do, they can be killed. You know, during these ceasefires, Hamas has been executing people in the Gaza Strip because they say you're collaborating with the enemy, you're giving up our information, you're showing where the weapons are. Whether they are right or not, it could be an innocent person.
Doesn't matter.
They take them in the square and they kill them in front of people because they're trying to teach them a lesson. Their favorite way is to hang people, to kill people with guns, you know, standing there executing them, and as I said before, dragging them in the back bumper of a car. It's horrible what they're doing to people. They already executed, that I know of, 50 people, and they said Israel killed them.
Now, do the Muslim people, the Arabs who are in Israel, do they feel that their compatriots, their fellow Muslims, are living under oppression, are living under a dictatorship in the West Bank, in Gaza?
Yeah, they know that they are, but they are also, they're rising up. They're having a Arab uprising in the West Bank, in Israel, proper, in Jerusalem. There is so much fighting right now in different areas that people haven't even heard about. This is not in the Western media. I haven't seen it in the Western media.
Why do you think it's being suppressed? Is it being suppressed, or is it just bad journalism?
I don't know if they're just putting so much attention on Gaza and not talking about it, but I don't think Israel really wants all that out, because one of their big draws is tourism. They want the tourists to come.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
You hear about fighting on the Temple Mount, or at one of the Lions Gate, or at the Damascus Gate, people getting stabbed, tires being rolled out on fire, Molotov cocktails. My friend had his windshield shot out in Bethlehem. Wow. You know, there's just so many things going on, attacks going on, as I told you before earlier, that our security officer, or our security for our community, was stabbed by an Arab. They're telling all people to uprise right now and show that you're standing with the Arab people in the Gaza Strip. So that's what they're doing. And it all started with the teenagers that were kidnapped. 3 Jewish teenagers were kidnapped. So Israel went door to door, house to house, trying to find Hamas. They knew it was Hamas. They started arresting all the Hamas leaders. As they arrested the leaders, Hamas in Gaza Strip started getting angry and said, you let them go, and Israel would not let them go. So that's when the rockets started coming in, more than just a trickle, because for years they've been coming in just trickling, but then they really started firing them in because they were angry. That's what started this conflict with the 3 teenagers.
You know, let's talk about the religion, if we can, about Islam, some more for a minute. You know, you and I have talked earlier about there doesn't seem to be much discussion about love in the mosque or in the religion. There is an awful lot about revenge, it seems like, and violence. Tell me your opinion about that, as well as whether there is any hope for reconciliation between the Muslims and the Jews and the Christians.
Yeah, well, I work a lot with Palestinian people, Muslims, and these Muslims that I talk to tell me what's going on in the mosque and how they live. And when I talk about how I live and what happened in my life, becoming a Christian and finding God, who is a God of love, He loves us. And I thank God He does, because I'm not that lovable. I mean, you know, He died for all of us. And these people, they really want that. They're seeking after someone to love them. They really want to believe in a God of love. I went to the door one time, a friend of mine, he was my translator. We would go out and talk to people all the time and drink this Arabic coffee. It's great stuff. Really wakes you up. But it was 12 midnight and I was ready to go home. We were out all day, and he said, oh, let's go to one more house. I said, okay. I said, the guy knows we're coming over, right? And he said, oh yeah. So we get to the house, the guy's half asleep, answered the door at 1 o'clock in the morning. And he starts putting on the Arabic coffee. We sit down and start having a conversation. He said, you know, I knew that there was a God that loved us. He said, and you know what? I found it. I really found it. And I said, well, where did you find that? He said, in this book. And he went and got the book, and it was a New Testament. He said, it's in here, look, and he had it all highlighted, that God loves him. He's a God of love. He said, I found him. And then I said, well, do you want to receive him as your Lord? I mean, he was right there. And he said, yes. And I baptized him in the Jordan River. They want a God of love. They're tired of the violence. They're tired of the perversion. This one, a friend told me about his friend. There was a guy in the Palestinian Authority, And he saw this beautiful woman and her husband, and he wanted the woman. So he said that her husband was a collaborator. He was in the Palestinian Authority. They're going to believe him. They took the husband as a collaborator, hung him in the square, and he took the wife. They have to be so careful with what they say and what they do. Another man who is a believer in a village, he has people around him that are getting their legs shot. And I said, what are you talking about? This is in Israel proper. This is in a Muslim village in Israel proper. And at night, the leadership, which is Muslim, will come and shoot the legs of the people that are not listening to the leadership or doing something wrong. That's a warning that if they don't stop doing what they're doing, they will kill them the next time. It's not easy living under the Palestinian Authority or even in Israel proper under their leadership. In the religion, they're all looking for a God of love. And you know, the Muslim people are so ready for that, it's like walking up to an apple tree. You just pick the apple. I'm not out there trying to proselytize or trying to be a missionary to them. They're coming to me. They're coming to me and asking me about the Lord. And if they say, will you baptize me? I'm not going to say no. You know, of course.
We want to talk about your organization too, because you have an organization, I don't know whether we should call it a ministry, called Love Without Borders.
Yeah.
And we want to give people the opportunity to help that ministry. We're going to take another brief break. We'll be back with our final segment with Cheryl Hancock right after these messages. Hello, I'm Dale Davidson. I hope you're enjoying Las Vegas tonight. The guests we've had on the program are wonderful examples of Christians who take seriously Christ's command to love one another. In addition to the hundreds of television stations across the United States now carrying our show, we have been presented with the outstanding opportunity to bring these inspiring stories to people around the world. An international satellite network in the Russian and Ukrainian languages has asked us to provide them with episodes to be broadcast to millions. To make a gift to support this very special effort, please send your check or money order to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. To use your credit or debit card, call 702-480-3989. Thank you, and God bless you. Welcome back to Las Vegas tonight. Cheryl Hancock is our guest, and an able one she's been. Fascinating, learning everything we can about what's really happening in Israel and environs. We were talking about Arabs who become followers of Christ. It's got to be a dangerous thing for them to do, doesn't it?
It
What
is.
happens?
A lot of them, they get caught. They try to go back and tell their families, their friends, their towns, because they're excited that they found this. After I baptize them, Muslims, they believe they go down as a Muslim and they come up as a Christian. Their whole life has changed, and they just shine with the love of the Lord. It's amazing to watch. But one guy, actually, I didn't find him. After I baptized him, he disappeared, and I couldn't find him. And I drove into a parking lot one time in Jerusalem, and there he was. And he came running up to me, and I said, "Where have you been? I've been looking for you." He said, "It was so interesting." He said, "What happened to me is I went back to my village, and I told everybody what happened, and I was baptized, and I found Jesus, and you know, Yeshua is how they say it. It means salvation, Yeshua." But he said, "But one night they started coming to my house, and I heard my name being called." So he opened his window. Now all the buildings are made out of Jerusalem stone. And he opened up his window, and he said, "It was a miracle. They started shooting at me, and they should have hit me here or here. But instead, they only hit my leg. Look, I only have 3 bullet holes." He figured that it was okay that they shot at him as long as they didn't kill him. It was a miracle. And I said, "Did you move? Did you get away from that village?" And he said, "Oh, no, they need Jesus." So it shows me that, you know, I learn when I'm there all the time. And it put me to shame, because I would have taken the verse where you shake the dust off your feet and move on.
Oh, yeah, sure.
That would have been an easy time to use that, but not him. They go back. Wow. One guy told his family after he was baptized, and his brother turned him into the Palestinian Authority. The Palestinian Authority arrested him on bogus charges, because they can't say they arrest him as being a Christian. It was some land deal that they said. They put him in prison, and he worked in the kitchen because he was a chef. And one time, what they did to torture him is they took all his clothes, they hung him in the kitchen doorway for 3 days. You can imagine what happened. The guys walking by, the humiliation, people punching him. He got out after about 2 years and survived it all, and didn't didn't walk away from the Lord. So these guys help my faith also. When I see that kind of faith around me, they give up everything to become a Christian. Two of them died. Two of them were beaten with sticks and chains, and I never saw them again.
Wow.
Yeah, so for them to be
It's
led
a
to the
lesson
Lord,
to us when we think we're persecuted.
that's
Not
persecution.
even close.
Living under the Palestinian Authority or Hamas, living under Islam, you don't convert, or it's worthy of death. That's the penalty.
We've seen that. There have been news reports of Muslims coming to Christ because Jesus came to them in a dream.
Yes.
Yeah, isn't that fascinating?
No, one came to me.
Really?
This is the one I was talking about, the one that was shot in the leg. I drove into a parking lot in Jerusalem. I never met him before, and he was working there. I got out of my car, and he ran up to me and goes, "You're a Christian. I know you're a Christian, right?" And I said, "Okay, yes, I am. Why?" He said, "Because I was a very sick man, and I went to sleep, and I had a dream about Yeshua, Jesus. And in the dream, he said that when you wake up, you will be healed, and then you will know that I am God." And he woke up and he was healed. And he was just amazed. So he walked up and down the streets in Jerusalem to find a church, to learn more about Jesus, and he ended up in a Catholic church. So he talked to the nuns, and the sisters gave him a book, you know, the Bible, the Catholic Bible, and he was reading it. He says, "And I'm praying to Mary all the time." And I said, "Well, that's good. You're reading the Bible, you know." And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Do you want to go to Jesus? Straight to Jesus and talk to him and pray to him?" He said, "Yeah, I didn't know I could do that." I said, "Yeah, you can." And so anyways, I took him and got him baptized, and he's the one that disappeared for a long time after he got shot.
Wow.
But he's following the Lord. He's leading people to the Lord like crazy.
Wow. I can tell just by looking at your face that you really love the people of Israel, both Jews and Arabs and fellow Christians.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me what your long-term goal is in Israel. What do you want to accomplish when you're there?
Well, I will be going back October 11th, and I have a lot of people. Now, what I have are people that are helping me teach the guys, disciple them, and we have 2 home fellowships already starting up. And these are guys that I baptized years ago, 2002, 2005, and now they're baptizing people. Sometimes I help by driving them, and I always go to the home fellowships. We got more than 2, but 2 that are really strong. And I take them ministry material, I take them food, clothing, because I believe in helping them. They're very poor. They're not supposed to work in Israel. Some of them work under the table. They need help. Most of them don't have cars. I mean, they live very poorly. So we have a group from Holland that came over, and I took them to the houses, and they saw the work, and they want to be so involved. They want to bring containers to Israel. And what I'd like to do is have small groups come, and ministry teams, and go around Israel in vans, and we can take things to the people. The people that come can see the work. It can be a part of the work, helping the people. They can see the land at the same time. But the people there need encouragement. There's Messianic Jews that have bed and breakfast. They need the business. You know, they need encouragement because they're holding down the fort. As far as sharing the gospel, you've got the people that live there that are local. And during time of war, things are going to be closed up. Where's their lifeline going to be? You know, we need people that will pray for them, that will help them, and the groups that can come in can help.
Tell me about your organization, Love Without Borders.
You know, what we do is we take items, whatever the people need. Sometimes I get people teeth, fix their teeth, electricity, whatever it is that they need. And people send finances or they send items, or if a group comes, that's the easiest way to get items. They bring an extra suitcase, and then we distribute the things. And that helps the people because we're showing the love of Christ. God would not go in there, Jesus would not go in there and teach them the gospel but not help them, you know, physically. And so we help them physically, and it says to help the poor people, to give them water if they need it, give them whatever it is that they need. Then they see the love, and their neighbors and their friends all hear about this. One time I had a party over there, a Christmas party, and we had about 60 Muslim people because they saw the love that was going on. And a lot of them became believers.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
We'll put up your email address so people can contact you. Whether you're in Israel or you're back in the States, and hopefully we will pray that they help you.
Yeah, we need a lot of help in Israel, that's for sure. When I talk about Love Without Borders, I'm talking about 3 people being involved and working, but we're all working hard to help these people.
And it's been wonderful having you. Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Cheryl Hancock.
Thank you
and
so
she's
much.
a journalist in Israel. And please, when you're next in the States, will you come and give us an update?
I would love to.
Yeah,
Thanks for getting the truth out.
It's very nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Cheryl Hancock has been our guest on Las Vegas Tonight. There's plenty more coming up on this station. Thank you for watching. I'm Dale Davidson, and please walk with him.
A potential audience of more than 50 million people is reached every week by Las Vegas Tonight. To keep the important message of Christ's love on the air, we need your prayers and financial blessings. Please send your tax-deductible gift to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. For a donation of $25 or more, we'll send you a copy of Dale Davidson's new book, Las Vegas Tonight, From Sin City to Vegas Saints. You'll love these inspiring stories of Las Vegas Christians who are changing the world. Or donate to the ministry, or order Dale's book by going to vegassaints.org. That's vegassaints.org. Or call us today at 702-480-3989. That's 480-3989. God bless you.
Hello, I'm Dale Davidson. I hope you're enjoying Las Vegas Tonight. The guests we've had on the program are wonderful examples of Christians who take seriously Christ's command to love one another. In addition to the hundreds of television stations across the United States now carrying our show, we have been presented with the outstanding opportunity to bring these inspiring stories to people around the world. An international satellite network in the Russian and Ukrainian languages has asked us to provide them with episodes to be broadcast to millions. To make a gift to support this very special effort, please send your check or money order to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. To use your credit or debit card, call 702-480-3989. Thank you, and God bless you.
You've been watching Las Vegas Tonight with Dale Davidson. Send your tax-deductible gifts to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. Or call 702-480-3989. Thanks for watching.